I'm Dan Donnelly, and this is the next episode of Unlocked, a music program made in association with Tees Music Alliance that allows you an insight into what creative people have been up to during lockdown to keep themselves from going mad. Glastonbury-based Nick Parker has, in my opinion, been one of the most prolifically creative people over lockdown. He came to prominence in a band called Why a good few years ago, but has played the circuit for a while. Rather than play his wonderful songs that he's written over and over again in a sort of home gig style scenario, he has created a load of collaborations and made a lot of new friends online, and done a series of videos on his YouTube channel with people such as Les Carter from Carter USM, members of Pearl Jam, members of the Blue Aeroplanes, members of all sorts of bands, myself included. So let's catch up with Nick to see how he's doing towards the end of lockdown. I'm joined now by the very creative Nick Parker. Nick, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm all right, thank you. It's my first Zoom interview. Very excited.
You've managed to survive the entire of lockdown without doing a Zoom interview yet?
Yeah,
I'm surprised. Cool. Whenever you first heard about the lockdown last March, what were your plans before lockdown came upon us?
I had lots of gigs lined up and the festival season upon us, obviously. I wasn't really planning for staying home, certainly. Same as everyone around the world, really. Just country by country, we all stopped doing live music.
You are one of the artists that I have noticed that didn't just play a sort of vacuous set into your laptop every week. You diversified.
Yeah, kind of. I think I did one. I didn't do one for the first couple of weeks. I sort of stayed off social media, and then I did one, and it went really well, and people seemed to enjoy it, and it was nice to see people in the comments having a good time. And I was able to pay a few bills I needed to pay, so it was great in that respect. And I did a few more, but very, very quickly fell out of love with it, and not because I needed an applause or something, but because I think like 40% of a gig for me is the audience, and if there's no audience there, you're just 60% doing your bit. There's nothing coming back. There's no interaction. There's nothing. And again, it's not because I need. I don't want people to appreciate what I'm doing. I just want there to be a connection. I've been watching a lot of football lately. Oh, sorry.
Speaking about connections, one of the first things I noticed coming from you as output was your Stranger Tunes series.
Okay.
That brought a lot of musicians together. Although we couldn't get together physically, it brought a lot. You collaborated with a lot of other musicians. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, right at the beginning, actually, it was only going to be duet. And a friend of mine, Emily Larkin in Germany, we were going to do duet together remotely. And then I thought, actually, this would be nice with a bit of pedal steel and some keys. So I asked a couple of other people. And they've not met before, and I like parodies, and I was just thinking, stranger, it's, we're living in weird times, and everyone's strangers who's on these things. I could make it a thing and make sure that nobody knows each other, nobody knows before the thing comes out who else is on it, etc. And so instead of just being duets, it turned into Stranger Tunes. And yeah, I've done 17 episodes so far. I've got one more to come out.
And here we have the very last episode of Stranger Tunes for your viewing pleasure and listening delight.
Hi, my name's Nick Parker. Welcome to the 18th and final episode of Stranger Tunes. Over the past year, I've had the pleasure of working remotely with over 150 musicians and singers in online collaborations. From people who've never played or sung in public, to higher profile musicians including members of the Wonder Stuff, Pearl Jam and Levelers, among many others. The Stranger Tunes series has involved creating one-off temporary bands, the members of which don't know each other. They also have no idea who else is on each episode until it comes out. For this last episode, we're doing Paul Simon's Boy in the Bubble, although as a teenager I always thought it was a Blue Aeroplane song. On drums we have Phil Haller. Phil is a live and studio session player from Weston-super-Mare. Phil actually sent me the drums for this way back in May, so he may well have forgotten all about it by now. On bass we have Moaf. Back in the 90s, Moaf played in bands such as Azimuth and Eden Burning, and also spent a while in my band Y. On fiddle we have my bandmate and duo partner Ben Wayne. I've had the pleasure of gigging and touring with Ben for many years now. When he's not gigging, Ben can often be found at his shop, Bridport Music Centre. So do go and say hello if you ever find yourself down in Dorset. On mandola we have Jez Cunningham. More often found with a Thunderbird around his neck, Jez is the bassist in the band Levelers, and he's also the man responsible for all their artwork. Seeing as we're doing a song that I'd assumed was by the Blue Aeroplanes, I thought it might be fun to include one of their members. So, completing the lineup we have Rodney Allen on guitar. Rodney started writing songs in the early 80s and played with the Chesterfields for a while, before becoming an integral part of the Blue Aeroplanes Wall of Sound. With this episode we're supporting I Love Live, who help raise funds for stage crew, who have of course been massively affected by the pandemic. Rather than relying on donations, they raise funds by raffling music memorabilia, which among other things include some of Jez's artwork. You can find all the Stranger Tunes and my home and away duet collaborations on my YouTube channel, and you'll be pleased to know that after a week or so I trim off these clunky introductions. Finally, I'd like to thank Dave Draper for mixing and mastering the vast majority of these, and for keeping me sane along the way. Also, a massive thanks to all of you for your support, your donations to the charities, and for all the video sharing over the past year. Hope you enjoy this last episode. Cheers.
That came to my attention again when you said you wanted to start with duets was the Home and Away series. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, sure. So I mentioned that initially the idea was to do just duets, and over the course of the year I bought myself a little interface, and I got familiar with Reaper, and I sort of learned how to do mixing myself. And then because the Stranger Tunes were taking so long to get together, no one felt, just because right at the beginning of lockdown, there was lots and lots of time. Everyone had time. Everyone was bored. Everyone wanted to do something. But later in the year, people were returning to work. People were less able to just drop everything and do something. So they just took forever to get together. And also, I was sort of getting into a stage where I wanted to put stuff out as soon as I had the idea to do it, rather than waiting on other people. So I went back to the Home and Away idea. And it was just duets. I just mix them myself, unless I always check that the other person is happy with the mix. And sometimes they might want to mix it themselves, which is fine too. The other reason I wanted to do a smaller scale, a scaled down version, is because there does seem to be a little bit more hope and a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, if you like. And there are probably better metaphors, but there does seem to be a sort of hope on the horizon that things are returning, and I didn't want to be halfway through some big Stranger Tunes project, and then suddenly everyone goes back to work and it just sits on the shelf and does nothing. So I thought if I just do little things.
And now for an episode of Nick's Home and Away with someone that you might recognise. In fact, it was shot in this very studio here.
This old town is filled with sin. It'll swallow you in if you got some money to burn. Take it home right away. You've got 3 years to pay, but Satan is waiting his turn. This old earthquake's gonna leave me in the poorhouse. Seems like this whole town's insane. And on the 31st floor, a gold-plated door won't keep out the Lord's burning rain. And the scientists say it'll all wash away, but we don't believe anymore, 'cause we got our recruits and our green mohair suits. So please show your ID at the door. This old earthquake's gonna leave me in the poorhouse. It seems like this whole town's insane. And on the 31st floor, a gold-plated door won't keep out the Lord's burning rain. Came around, tried to clean up this town. His ideas made some people mad, but he trusted his crowd, so he spoke right out loud, and they lost the best friend that they had. This old earthquake's gonna leave me in the poorhouse. It seems like this whole town's insane. And on the 31st floor, a gold-plated door won't keep out the Lord's burning rain. And on the 31st floor, a gold-plated door won't keep out the Lord's burning rain.
So you're implying, with the light at the end of the tunnel metaphor, that when if gigs start back, will you cease to do these collaborations, or is it something that you see as a part of your thing in the future?
I still love collaborating. There's a band you're probably familiar with, Bell X1.
Yeah, from Ireland. Yeah.
Yeah. So Paul Noonan, the singer from Bell X1, has an album called Printer Clips, which is all duets, but with somebody different. and it's always been, I always love singing with other people, and it's always been a sort of dream of mine to do an album of just duets. Not necessarily just two instruments, but they're all duet type songs. And so that's always been sort of the plan. And it will be, but it won't be sort of everyone remote sitting, hiding behind their pop shields. It'll probably be a proper studio effort. So that'll happen one day. But I think once everyone's back to normal life, they're working in the week, they're gigging at weekends, so it's just going to be impossible to pull these together. That said, I'd still like to do the home and away thing because, like I say, it's just one other person. And if someone's at a loose end between albums, or in the winter or something, and they're just a bit bored and want to do something, we can still do something. We've still got all the social media outlets and things like that. And yeah, it's just a nice way to work with other musicians. And
but do you think that being a creative and having had that creative outlet has helped your mental health during lockdown?
I think so. Certainly, I think I wanted to make sure I kept busy. I didn't want to look down. I didn't want to look over the edge. I just wanted to sort of stay focused and look forward. I wasn't finding you very kindly mentioning me being creative, and that's I do take that as a compliment. But at the end of the day, I'm a songwriter, and I haven't really been able to come up with something myself this year. I've really struggled in that respect. But doing these things has definitely been a sort of placeholder, if you like. It's been a second best.
So what is next for Nick Parker? Have you got gigs coming in? Are you being cautious about your approach to reintegrating with live work, or what's your roadmap to the next level?
Anything was booked for last year is going to be booked, has just rolled over basically. And I've just started taking a couple of people's house gigs and things that easily cancelable, but I'm not taking on major things at the moment. I want to wait and see what happens.
So it's been lovely chatting to you. Thanks so much for letting us have some insight into your creative process during a very difficult year, and all the best for the future. Levellers are one of the biggest folk rock acts in Europe, if not the world. And they're the kind of band that play to large, raucous crowds that jump into each other, throw pints over each other. And they're not the kind of band that can do a socially distanced gig without it being incredibly homeopathic. So we caught up with John Leveller to talk to us about their new app, which enables their fans from all over the world to stay in touch with them and with each other until they can once again get into the mosh pit.
Let's go again.
Hello everybody, we're the Levellers and we are here together to introduce you to our new app, and here's the boys to fill you in on what it's all about.
Yeah man, we wanted somewhere to put music, photos, artwork, videos all in one place, and where we can keep adding new and archived content for you.
So we've been busy getting photos together, videos, music, any old bits and pieces, collections, anything that we can show you. There's lots on there already. We've already got a couple of new videos we've done during the lockdown. Carry Me and Four Boys Lost, and from the lockdown sessions that the lads were doing in Brighton, and I did remotely from Scotland.
Yeah, so every month we'll be adding new sessions, plus unheard demos and live recordings, artworks and competitions. There'll be a premium content by unlocking if you subscribe to the app.
Sign up, download it, have a look and join in. You can add comments, photos, etc. too on a fan wall. We want to hear from you too.
Go to levellers.fan.direct, create an account, and then download the app. We'll see you all there. Stay safe.
So I'm joined here by John Sevink from the Mighty Levellers, who...
Hi, Dan.
Hi. Who've obviously got a massive, massive following, and they're the type of band that need to play in a large venue with a lot of people jumping on top of each other and throwing pint pots of piss over each other and hugging and sweating and all the things that we're not allowed to do at the minute. So how have you guys managed to survive?
You're right in the description. That's what we need, and that means, and we talked about it as a band about whether or not we were going to go down the route of on live streamed shows, and I think Mark did a couple of solo things from his house, but we realised as a band that was so far removed from what we do as a band, as a live band, that it just did not work for us, that idea of doing a live stream. And obviously, like a lot of people, when there's no income, you got to kind of think of other ways to try and generate some income, but also to keep yourselves occupied. We put out an album in last summer that we're not able to take out on the road or promote in any way, and we're not going to do any live stream shows. So somebody suggested the idea of offering kind of some sort of subscription service, so that, but on the other hand, what are you going to give back, for people that say, okay, well, I really like this band, I want to try and help them, support them. And then we came across a guy called Kevin Brown, who we used to work with a long time ago, who'd started a company called Gig Rev. I looked at the format and it looked very much like we could use it as a kind of online magazine. We used to publish magazines and put out, free CDs and discs and artwork for fans years ago.
You were the first band I saw doing that. Whenever I was about 19, we copied your idea. We used to make a magazine and send them out to our fan club. But you were the first band I saw really utilizing that fan club model.
We were publishing 2 magazines a year. I think we were doing 2 freebies as well a year. And that's great, and it worked really well back then. But what we found was that the costs of all these things had just become prohibitive, really. When we saw what they're called fan circles now, is the platform. We talked about setting up our own platform to do it, and realised that the development costs were just going to, it was going to take too long to develop ourselves, and B, it's a lot of work to get it right. So the fan circles platform seemed to work, and we had a look at what other people were doing on it. And then once we got hold of it and started to think about the sort of content that we could put on it, realized that with all the stuff that we've got, with our own in-house artwork and our kind of approach to running our own record label and all the other bits and pieces that we can do, we've got loads of stuff that we can put out there. Yeah. So we're putting out 3 or 4 posts a week of all sorts of stuff from Jeremy does a whole load of video stuff showing people the artwork, how stuff is done. I've got old kind of demos and bits of music that go out there as well, and people can stream straight from the app.
Is this something that you'll continue to do for the future now, or is it simply to tide you over till you can get back on the road?
I think it'll change slightly once we start getting back out and doing shows. I think perhaps it might act more as an information service as well once we're out on the road. But there's a live video aspect to this app as well, so you can literally, with your phone, you just press a button and you're streaming straight to everyone that's on the app.
So you could stream from your dressing room. We're about to go on stage.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
We're currently doing a once a month hour-long chat on Zoom, just talking about, we've talked about a few things, but a couple of the old albums, how they were recorded, what we were doing at the time. And people, I talk about it as old men talking, but people enjoy hearing us.
The other thing that you had a top 10 album you just mentioned during lockdown. How did that feel? Was it like bittersweet? No,
there's no bitter about it at all. For us, it was really great to put a record together that we were happy with. I think we were all surprised at how it came out, and slightly surprised at and how well it was received by everyone, by fans.
Yeah. Were you annoyed that you couldn't tour it and bust some of the songs out live? Yeah.
Hopefully we're going to get back out in the summer or if not in the summer, then hopefully towards the end of the year. It's likely, probably, well, if we can, that the first show back for us might be Beautiful Days Festival.
That's your festival in Devon,
which is in mid-August. So that's, we've got our fingers crossed that we're able to put the event on, and that we can put half a dozen of these new songs. We were doing a few before the lockdown happened anyway, in February of 2020. They'll slot in nicely. And also not just music as well. We're putting printed sheet music out onto the app as well. So it's becoming a library, really. I call it a kind of online interactive magazine. But you've got video content, so there are a whole load of shows that we've done over the years, and we post up, and they're all there. They go into different sections of the app, and people can access them. A lot of it is free, actually. You don't have to subscribe to see a lot of it. So there are people from all over the world that are accessing this. It's kind of what's really great is as musicians, as well as I do, Dan, that we're used to playing music that has an instant reaction from people. You feed off that, and actually posting, let's say you do a little tutorial or something, you post it up on the app and people are responding to it immediately. Fulfills a bit of what we need
the need for attention.
As precious musicians,
Yeah.
I think part of the reason why we're enjoying this app as well is because it's a dedicated platform to the band. It means that it's not like other social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram and all those other ones where you have all sorts of stuff going on, and some of which is quite unpleasant.
Yeah.
Whereas with this platform, it's just really people they're liking what they're getting content wise. They're talking to each other, but in a really great way. It's a
friendly space.
It's really friendly, and it feels safe, and that's why it feels like it's okay to be creative on it. People that have been in the same band for over 30 years, perhaps, and we live in different parts of the country. Simon's in Scotland, I'm in Devon. Some of the rest of the guys are in Brighton and around. But with a year out of not getting together to play music, it could very easily become disparate, with people not really contacting each other.
Yeah.
So we've definitely found that the app has pulled everybody together with a common purpose.
Great. Yeah. Brilliant. So thanks very much for giving us that little insight into what you've been up to. So I'm joined by Jake Holt, who started off his musical career busking, but has since branched out into a lot of different areas. And we're going to find out how he's been coping with a year in the house. And I can see, Jake, already that you seem to have gathered a fair few musical bits of equipment in your attic. Was this intentional?
I don't really know, to be honest. I've just kind of, over 15 years of playing, just kind of gathered random bits here and there. Like, I've been determined to try and, over lockdown, like, really develop my own skills as, like, more than just a guy who sings with a guitar. So I've been looking at, like, video production and live streaming and studio production as well, like, trying to get my head around more in-depth, like, ideas for putting into my songs, so I can sort of take them to a different place, rather than just like that usual singer-songwriter sitting with a guitar and a microphone and like hitting record and there we go, that's done, that's fine. I can get 5 tracks done in like half an hour.
Yeah. Did you feel lucky, though, to be a creative and to have the stuff that you've gathered around yourself, keyboards and mics, and the ability to express yourself? Whereas if you had been a painter and decorator or a stationery salesman, you might have totally lost your mind.
It's definitely been like very important for keeping my sanity. Like, every now and again, I just like disappear up here and like fiddle around with something.
Do you see yourself self-releasing music in the future? Is that the route that you're going to go down?
Oh, definitely. I'm hoping to get the second EP out by the end of summer, for when we're actually allowed to go back outside again. And then I'll be immediately sort of like pulling together like bits of songs that I've been writing over the last year and a bit. to start work on the next one, whilst I'm trying to keep YouTube up and running and trying to do some more live stream Twitch stuff, and hopefully getting back into venues and playing again.
So once venues are open and the live scene returns back, do you plan to have a sort of hybrid? You're going to keep the YouTube thing, the cover thing going, and maybe make more time to be at home and to be creative from your attic, or will you just forget all about all this and go straight back to just gigging and busking?
I think the world is moving more and more online, and it would be kind of silly to go purely back to the old way. I think that there's plenty of scope for both to happen. Who knows when the next major catastrophic event's going to happen? Might end up being inside again. So building that audience, and it's just, I think it's going to work a bit more online with everybody being online all the time now.
So I guess you could say that you're creatively hoping for the best, but creatively expecting the worst.
I think that basically sums up my entire life as a musician.
So we're going to play one of Jake's videos that he has done during lockdown. Jake, can you tell us about the video that we're going to watch now?
As Shanty Talk kind of kicked off in January, I kind of thought I'd get in on that action. And it's a song that kind of sums up my feeling about the end of lockdown. And it's Wellerman, the traditional whaling song. The idea of soon may the Wellerman come, that we might actually be able to go outside and see each other.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot for talking to us, Jake, and it's good to see you. And hopefully we'll see each other in a pub sometime soon and play some
hopefully.
With a nice pint.
Oh yes.
And I guess we have Wellerman.
There once was a ship that put to sea, and the name of the ship was the Billy Hooty. Winds blew hard, her bow dipped down, oh blow, my bully boys blow. Soon may the Wellermen come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. She had not been 2 weeks from shore when down on her a right whale bore. The captain called all hands and swore he'd take that whale in tow. Soon may the Wellermen come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go.